Jake and Eric. They were one of those couples that just fought all the time. And I'm not sure what they resented against each other. Maybe the wife resented the husband for marrying her too young, not letting her experience life. Maybe she resented him for spending all his time at his cement company here in San Diego. Whatever it was, they just never learned to see eye to eye. They were always fighting, and they fought on the day their sons were born. It was a dark, stormy night here in San Diego when they were at Scripps Hospital, and the wife, she was screaming on the delivery, and then the baby, he came out. The husband was standing there watching. He looked, he said, "Look at him, it's my son, I have a son. Look, he's already got a shock of red hair, just like my grandpa from Norway. We'll name him, we'll name him Eric. We'll name him after my ancestor, Leif Erikson. Oh, he's taking after your grandfather's blood." And what, what is that on his heel? What is that, a hand? And the wife said, "It's twins! I told you we were having twins! What? You never told me we were having twins? I told you, I texted you the day I had the ultrasound. A text? That's not telling me." And they're shouting, and the doctor said, "What are you shouting for? It's supposed to be a joyous occasion." And that's the world that Jake and Eric came into. Now, they just sort of took their sides, and the father, he took Eric under his arm, and Eric was daddy's boy. And the mother, she took Jake under her arm. Now, Jake, he grew up to be a manly man. He hung out with dad. They played ball. He got good at every sport there is. He would hang out with his dad. They would go to ball games together, eat chili cheese fries, hang out. And he was a real man's man. When he got older, he let his red beard grow out. He was very hairy, hair all over his body. He even had that gross patch of hair right on the middle of his back. Now, Jake, he was just the opposite. He was mama's boy. He would hang out with mom watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and they would go shopping together. Now, Jake, he went to the gym, but he would shave his arms and chest so they would glisten better at the gym. And he always smelled like really nice cologne, Obsession by Calvin Klein. Now, that kind of thing. His cuticles, they were just perfect. So in high school, while Eric, he was dating the hottest cheerleader on the he was a captain of the football team, the envy of all the boys in high school. Jake, he'd hang out in the library. He'd date the goth girls, the kind of nerdy girls with thick hipstery glasses with Kurt Vonnegut under their arm. Each of them kind of took their camps. Mom raised Jake, and Dad raised Eric. Now, the boys, they were always at each other's throats, ever since birth, really. Always at each other's throats. Now, Eric, he would trip Jake, and all the boys on the football team, they'd all crack up. Eric, he got good at the physical cruelty, but Jake, he learned to be shrewd. He could launch an insult. He came up with the best nicknames for his brother to make his brother go off and cry. Once his brother started puberty, he called him Captain Armpits and things like that. And so Eric, he would punch Jake in the shin, but Jake, he would punch Eric in the soul. Now, a turning point came right after high school when they took a family vacation. They didn't take many of those, and it's not because they didn't have the money. I mean, the family cement business was doing quite well. No, it's because the parents couldn't stand the thought of spending that much time in each other's company. But they went camping in the woods up by Big Bear. They went up there, and the parents, they had no cell phone reception, so they started fighting immediately with nothing to distract them. Eric said, "I'm going for a hike." He took off. Jake sat there reading a book, and after a few hours, they said, "Hey, Eric, he's been gone a while." They tracked down the park ranger to look for him, and they said, "Jake, you go look for your brother, see if you can find him." So he took a big bottle of water with him, and he went out looking for his brother, and pretty soon he saw him down in a canyon. He had fallen. He had tripped. Eric had fallen down that canyon. He's lying there, his red hair glistening with sweat, lying there. Jake walked up. He could see Eric had broken his leg. Eric said, "Jake, oh, you gotta help me out. I'm dying here. I'm so thirsty. Have you got any water?" Jake looked at him, and something clicked. He said, "Yeah, I've got a whole bottle right here." "Please, Jake, I'm dying. Can you give me some water?" "Yeah, but you've got to give me something. Give me the keys." "What?" "The keys to your truck. Dad gave it to you when you turned 16, and now you're going to give it to me. For good. I'll give you this water." Well, Eric, he had no other choice. But they stopped talking to each other after that. Things were a lot more tense. So Eric spent just all his time with Dad, and Jake spent all his time with Mom. Well, years passed. Eric, he became a really accomplished surfer. And so he went off to a surfing competition in Maui. And while he was gone, Jake was sitting around watching reality TV with Mom. And Mom, she said, you know what's going to happen to the family cement business after your father passes. You know he's going to leave it all to your brother Jake. Are you okay with that? You want to have a family someday. You want to provide for them, right? She kept talking to him about that. So one day she said, I've got a plan for you, Jake. I've got a plan for you to get yours, too. Jacob said, well, what are we going to do with it? The will's already written up. Now, by this point, their dad, he developed diabetes, too many chili cheese fries and beers at the ballpark, too much stress from the cement company. So he was in and out of the hospital. So Mom told Jake, she said, I've got a plan. I've talked to my lawyers. They've drawn this up. This is a new will, a better will, one that gives you what you deserve. He said, well, how are we going to get Dad to sign it even? Dad was in the hospital at that point. She said, well, you go in and he's going to sign it because he's going to think that you are your brother, Eric. Jake said, Dad would never buy it. Eric, he's covered in hair. He smells terrible. He doesn't smell like Obsession by Calvin Klein. She said, well, don't you worry about that. I've got some friends in West Hollywood. You go visit them. They'll take care of that. Now, those friends, they worked in the costume department. They had some great fake body hair for Jake to put on his arms. Mom told him to wash off all that Obsession by Calvin Klein. Go to the gym, get good and sweaty, get a good BO smell about him. Go visit Dad in the hospital with this new will. So he did. He had that fake arm hair put on, that fake beard. He put on his brother's denim jacket and he walked into the hospital. Who is that? Daddy's lying there. Couldn't barely see anything at all from the diabetes. And Jake said, he tried to do a little deeper voice. It's me. It's your son, Eric. Eric, my boy, come here, come closer. He reached out, touched that arm with the fake hair on it. Eric, it's you. Eric, come here, boy. Sit and talk with me. Eric, I've got a great DVD here, a John Wayne movie. You know how much I love those. Sit here and watch it with me. Sure, Dad. But one thing, would you mind signing this first? Now, everything would have gone according to plan, except that Eric got back early from the surfing tournament. And Mom didn't have a chance to put the new will away. Jake happened to be at a coffee shop at the time, and Eric came back home. Mom looked at him surprised. You're home early. Yeah, I took first prize. I just decided to take off early. And he's dropping his stuff, dropping his bags on the floor. And then he looked, what's this on the table? Picked up that will. He read it. This is my brother, isn't it? It's Jake. Oh, that son of a... I knew he was going to do something like that. He threw down the will and he reached out behind. He pulled out his pistol. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. He shouted and he pushed his mom to the side and ran out. Well, Mom, she got in the SUV. She drove to that coffee shop. She found Jake. She said, Jake, you need to hide, Jake. You need to leave now. Go home. Pack your bag. You need to get out of here. You need to leave. Jake, what's going on, Mom? I can't. I'll explain on the way. I'll explain in the car. Jacob, your brother, he found out. I can't protect you from this, Jacob. You need to go with my half-brother. I have a half-brother. He owns a winery in Chile, South America. You need to go there and disappear for a year, maybe more. Disappear until it's safe, till I tell you it's safe to come back. So he did. He went to Limburg Airport, and he took the first flight to Santiago, and he took a bus all the way down to southern Chile to the winery of his uncle, Mom's half-brother. Now, I say uncle, but he really didn't treat Jake like family. He treated him like another one of the laborers. Jake had to live in these barracks, these cement buildings where everyone lived packed in together. It smelled like smoke and sweat and tears in there. And he slept on a piece of cardboard on the ground, and he got up before the sun every day. He worked 7 days a week. and he labored away, and he worked and worked for his uncle. Now, every now and then he would sneak off into the town and go to the internet cafe, and he would go and check his email to see if there was any news from his mom. But there's nothing. And he kept working, and he kept up with that rhythm, and a year passed. After a year passed, he went to the patron, he went to his uncle. He said, "Uncle, I've been working here for a year. I'm wondering if I could get paid for that year of work." Now, his uncle knew that something was up, knew that he was running away from something, and he took advantage of that. His uncle said, "Sure, Jake, my boy, of course. Let's take a look here." Brought out his calculator. "Okay, I need to subtract your lodging expenses, food and board, of course. Subtract finder's fee, and so when I do the calculations, I owe you 0 pesos, nothing." Well, what could he do? He couldn't complain, so he just kept working, kept hiding out. Time passed, and he would keep sneaking off to that internet cafe and follow from South America the news of what was happening with the family. And he read the news about his father had sold off the cement company, and his brother Eric had bought out his shares, and Eric had started his own company out by Yuma, Arizona. And he watched his brother get richer and richer, buying Cracker Barrel franchises, 24-hour fitness gyms, while Jake labored away for his uncle under the hot sun. Now, after some time, he met a woman. She was lovely, beautiful. She was a Mapuche native from northern Chile. She'd come there to work with her brothers, and they fell in love. That Christmas, when the priest came to officiate Mass there on the vineyard for all the workers, they were married. And so life felt a little brighter for Jake. They kept living there in the barracks, and he kept sneaking off. He read the obituary of his father when his father finally passed. He read that online. He wiped a tear away in the internet cafe. He told his wife about it. His wife said, "Jake, you've been working here 7 years, and you haven't even been paid. Go talk to your uncle. None of us have been paid. He doesn't pay any of us. He keeps charging us for room and board. Go talk to him. You're at least flesh and blood. Go talk to him. Try to ask for something." "Okay, I'll try." He went into his uncle's office. "Uncle, I was really wondering if I could get at least an advance on my paycheck." His uncle said, "You know what, Jake? I'm going to give you everything I owe you. All 7 years worth of wages." "Really?" "Yeah, but you've got to give something to me." "Your wife, Jake. Remedios. She's lovely." "What?" "One night, Jake. One night with her, and I'll pay you everything I owe you." "Uncle, I can't do that. I could never do that." "You seem to forget, Jake. I'm the patron here. I'm the boss, and I wasn't exactly asking for your permission." Jakey went back to Remedios in the barracks. He said, "We have to leave. We have to get out of here now. We have to get away from my uncle." "Where are we going to go?" He said, "We'd start packing your things. We have to go to my brother. It's the only place we can go now. I just have to go and beg him for mercy. That's all we can do." So they fled in the dead of night. They took a bus along the shore of Chile all the way north. They had to bribe the border guards with what little savings that they had managed to squirrel away that they had. They didn't have passports or anything, so they had to bribe border guards crossing into Peru and crossing further northward. And by the time they'd crossed Central America, they were out of money. So they swam across the Usumacinta River and entered Mexico from the south. And then they climbed aboard La Bestia, the freight train that crosses northward across all of Mexico. And they rode there with other migrants fleeing their own problems, their own patrones, their own violence. And they all fled together. They got to the northern border of Mexico, and then they walked. They walked from Sonora through the desert, and they walked and walked 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, they could see the lights of Yuma shimmering in the distance. Jake, he knew his brother's cement company was west of Yuma. So he got Remedios set up in a hotel. He took out his last $20 that he stuck in his shoe, and he paid for a cheap hotel. He said, Stay here and wait for me. I don't want you to be there when I see my brother. It could get ugly." And then he walked west, walked into the desert, into the dead of night, And the exhaustion of the whole journey had just weighed on him. So he found a big flat rock and he just lay down and slept on top of that rock. He dreamed all night long that he was fighting people, animals, creatures he'd never seen before. He woke up, his ankle was killing him. It's like he must have twisted it on the journey. His back ached. And he looked around him. All around this flat rock, there was cement dust, all gray dust all over the desert floor. He saw towering stacks of cement blocks, and he looked up at the top of the hill. He saw the factory up there. He saw the offices. It was his brother Eric's company. And then he heard a shotgun blast from the top of the hill, and he saw a crowd of men walking down the hill. All of them, they had dark blue security uniforms, and they're all carrying shotguns and pistols. At the head of the crowd was Eric with that bright red beard. Eric walked up with that crowd of guards, and Jake, he looked at Eric, and he just fell to his knees in the dust. He fell to his knees, and he just started weeping, and he shut his eyes. He said, "Just do it. Just do it. Just shoot me in the head. Shoot me like a dog. I know I deserve it for everything I did to you, Eric. I deserve it. Just get it over with. Shoot me now." He waited for that gunshot blast. It didn't come. And he felt a hand on his arm. He looked up. Eric was smiling at him. "Stand up, Jake." Eric picked him up. Eric said, "Jake, your mother is my mother. Your father is my father. All of that fighting, all of that nastiness, that's not us. That was all of their stuff. That was between them. That's not who we are. You're my brother, Jake. You're always going to be my brother." Jake looked at Eric, tears pouring down his face. He said, "Hearing you say that is like hearing the voice of God." Well, Eric sent for Remedios and moved Remedios and Jake into the house with him and his wife. They met Eric's kids and they moved into the house. Eric gave Jake a position at the cement company, and Remedios worked at the salon with Eric's wife. And later that year, when Jake and Remedios had their first daughter, they named her Wasi. Wasi was the Mapuche word for home, because finally, after all those years, they had found home. They were home to stay. Jake and Eric.